shade.
But what are they supposed to do, Paul? What do you expect out of politicians? They're not magicians, they just can't make legislation appear. What are you supposed to do?
Gormless fucks, man. People that think that, like, the game of politics, especially at the national level, but all the way down to the fucking state and local level, they think that it's all about just casting votes. It's not about cajoling, it's not about conniving, it's not about backroom dealing, it's not about applying pressure, it's not about applying, offering advancement. It's not about playing to a person's personal wants to get them on the right side of an issue. It's not about having leadership that's willing to fucking not settle for that issue, not being pushed forward. It's just like,
oh, they show up and they vote, so
empty-headed fucking doofuses, man. And these are the same people that fucking rail against me when I refuse to vote for a Democrat. These are the people that fucking rail against me whenever I fucking call out these people. They're there with excuses.
What do you expect me to do?
Fight. Like Joe Manchin is just like the Great Wall of China, and the DNC is the Mongols, Just can't find a chink in the armor. No racist pun intended.
Can't find a way through this fortification. Joe Manchin is too strong.
The motherfucker could be folded like that. Folded like that. Hey man, I got a new PFP. I was wondering if you ever seen The War on Democracy by John Pilger. I recently watched it and I cried. Nope. Haven't seen it. This absolutely broke me. Keep my kids at home the rest of the week. I don't blame you, man. I don't even know what the fuck I'd do if I had kids. I wouldn't feel safe at all sending them to fucking school now. At all. Especially because there's no rhyme and reason to this type of shit. It just seems to happen in small towns. Medium-sized towns. It's kind of all over the fucking map. And so constant that we're just numb to it. We're just numb to it. Even me. Like, I'm pissed, but I don't feel sorrow. Like, I don't feel the type of grief that I felt after Columbine or after Newtown or Littleton. It's just become so rote. Virginia Tech. A lot of these, shootings people probably don't even remember. There have been so many since. And instead of immediately, coming together as a fucking group, Democrats, instead of, dude, we're all getting together. We're getting together with the president, with the vice president, and we're going to come up with a fucking plan to move forward. And we're going to push it through the Senate, and any obstacle to that is going to be overcome. You're with us or you're primaried. You're with us or all the dirt. Joe Biden's got his finger on that FBI, CIA, fucking alphabet agency button. Nobody in this country gets Manchin rich without having a fucking docket of dirt on them that thick. All Joe Biden would have to do is reference some of it and just say, "What about this here, Joe?" He just doesn't have the balls to do it. He doesn't have the impetus to do it. But you know what they're all out doing instead? Making excuses, tweeting empty platitudes, Supreme Court won't approve it, then you do it again and again and again. See, people just think like, oh, well, oh, we hit a brick wall. Dude, you guys better be glad. If you're black, you better be glad that fucking we hit a brick wall wasn't a good enough excuse to not pass abolition of slavery and Reconstruction. You better be fucking glad if you're black or brown or an immigrant that the Voting Rights Act wasn't just like, well, nothing we can do. Too many blue dog Democrats down there won't come along. You better be glad we had LBJ. As a piece of shit as he could be and was, you better be glad. Because this is what happens when you have weak-willed politicians who have no impetus to do any of this. They're all in the pockets of the people that profit from this shit. Joe Biden just sent $40 billion worth of weapons overseas to be fucking used against who knows how many children over there. Got no problem with that, but he wants to virtue signal on Twitter every time something happens here. And whine about how nothing can get done. We gotta do something, guys. Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable I gotta make another one of these. Unbelievable I gotta talk about this again. Unbelievable that this comes hot on the heels less than a week after the last mass shooting event that we had. One of them at a shopping center where there were a bunch of families. This one at a fucking school. Manchin is. I'm not even talking about primary Manchin. That was one thing I mentioned that you could fucking threaten. Did you not hear about the docket Manchin's got like that? Dude is swimming in dirt. Get on the phone to the CIA, get him fucking digging up dirt, hand him a little folder full of it, and that's just a cursory look right there. Senator Manchin. I told him to stop digging when they brought this to me. You want me to have him keep digging? You keep holding up this boat. That's one way to primary a motherfucker. In chains, getting let out for fucking financial crimes. There you go. What if that was already tried? It wasn't. Because if it was already tried and he was still obstinate on everything that's come up, Build Back Better, fucking COVID funding, fucking $2,000 checks, all the shit that he's supposedly killed, his ass would be in jail. His ass would be under multiple investigations and indictments and shit. He'd be suffering the consequences. You don't threaten something you're not willing to do. Or the document doesn't exist. You're right, dude. He's the one fucking multimillionaire on this planet don't got no dirt. Isn't hiding any fucking offshore income. Made every fucking dollar he's got squeaky clean. Yep, I'll believe that when I see it. Nobody he's connected to. No shuffling of funds around the family. Nobody close to him's done anything wrong. Nope. He's the world's first bubble squeak fucking Mr. Clean millionaire. Yeah. Okay. You start talking about seizing assets. Dude, you know they can seize assets just for the purpose of an investigation, right? Motherfucker's got a yacht. You just say, like, you know, how'd you like that yacht to be in property for about 8 months? Well, we go over every little square inch of it to make sure it's not being used as a fucking trafficking vessel. Oops. That yacht's now government property for X amount of days. They could just seize his fucking assets. They could freeze his bank account. They could make shit up. You think they're above doing that to people like us? Do it to each other. Let's say he is, implausibly, the United States' very first absolutely squeaky clean millionaire. You pull those butt cheeks apart, you got that little flashlight in your eyes, you don't see one stank nug. Not one hair out of place. Perfect little rosebud. You make it up. You bring him some charges. You bring him an investigation for shit that he didn't do. It's going to stain you forever. It's called strong-arming. It's called politics. It's called what we need right now. Strong leaders who are willing to stand on it. Because this fucking narrative, well, one guy's holding it all up. How ridiculous that is. You know how ridiculously not like a non-issue that is? That means you have to bring over Manchin, or you've got to saddle break one Republican. So let's say you're right again. Let's say he's the squeaky clean millionaire. Stop focusing on him. Start focusing on one of these fucking Republicans that's in trouble. Telling me there's no dirt? Telling me you can't flip one vote from the other side? Nobody's doing it. Nobody's doing the work. Everybody's sitting around with their media teams talking about what tweets they're going to send out tonight instead of having a special fucking meeting, an immediate convention of like, here's our fucking plan going forward. This is enough. Enough is enough. We're getting shit done. Joe Manchin, you're sitting here tonight. Your ass is fucking grass. You may as well stay home. Your vote doesn't matter because we're going to talk about how we're going to flip 5 fucking Republicans. And the filibuster exists. The only reason the filibuster exists is because there isn't the political willpower to get it fucking done. You know how long they've been talking about, get rid of the filibuster. Let's end the filibuster so that we can we can do this. You know why it doesn't get done? Because nobody has the political will to fucking go out and do the things I'm talking about. Ultimately, you're right. The problem is that Biden and probably a lot of names that you would scoff at agree with Manchin. They'd rather have him than have to fund new social programs. They'd rather have him than to wade into the mire that is trying to regulate guns and put some sensible fucking regulations on firearms sales and transfers in this country. They would rather he win and they throw up their hands and go, guys, we did everything, man. We burning the midnight oil for weeks and weeks on this one, y'all, but you know, we just couldn't get a single vote. Give me a fucking break. Give me a break. Yeah, so go vote in politicians that will get you that, the entire Dem party into AOC types, then move. Dude, the entire DNC is already AOC types. Do nothing, go along, corporate fucking shills. That's the problem. The two-party system in this country and the duopoly that it's created has made it functionally impossible for me to vote in politicians who feel like I do, even though a preponderance of Americans agree with me. Anymore. It's not about what you think either. It's about what makes money. We got to do something. Yeah, Jersey Silva, we do. We got to do it. Yikes, you are lost. You're fucking out. See ya, kid. Fucking talk to me like a 3rd grade teacher or some shit. Fuck you.
How many shootings we've had so far? Mass shootings in 2022?
It's got to be like 24.
198. And that was from last week. Not counting this week. $198 plus, like, you know, another 5.
So what are we doing again? Something, man. We got to do something. I lived in Littleton when it happened. My school got locked down. I was in 4th grade. I'm completely numb to this. Yeah. I was just talking to Amelia. Like, Columbine happened in 1999, the year after I graduated. I was still going back and forth to college, living at home, and I used to drop my sisters off at school in the mornings and shit. Dude, it was fucking insane. They were all in high school at that point. And it was, there were so many fucking cops. It was crazy. When you drove in, they questioned you. Like, when you pulled into the parking lot, they were stopping every car, looking in the trunk, asking who you were and who you were dropping off, and taking down your fucking name and license number as you came and went. I was all the way in fucking Podunk-ass California, in the middle of nowhere. I remember after Newtown, I was working for the school district when Newtown happened. And they immediately closed all the schools. And they got like the biggest mobilization I've ever seen at the maintenance department for the schools to, during the week that they closed the fucking schools, install cyclone fences and locked gates on the front of every fucking school so that the schools were entirely contained, and retrofit every classroom with new deadbolt locks so that they could be securely locked from the inside. They did that in a week.
Dude, when the shooting happened in my town, I think the kids at that school got like a day off or something. That was it.
Dude, people don't even remember because number one, the Marysville shooter was not white, and number two, it would happen on an Indian reservation, or with the not on the reservation, but like
pretty contained within the tribe. Yeah.
So they don't even remember the one that happened in your town.
But they barely did. Like, it was like they were literally back to school like a day or two later or something.
Yeah.
Like, fucking...
I mean, what do you do? Like, you can't let people stay at home forever, but yeah. I don't fucking know, bro. I don't know.
Do no retrofitting or nothing on the other school.
Yeah, maybe they need to move to 100% distance learning. See, the problem is that there's another stat here that's, you know, in my mind, it's congruous with this stat. This stat is just more sensational. Mm-hmm. Like the one we're talking about now, the school shootings. But kids are being fucking neglected, killed by the fucking score. And typically when it happens outside of these mass shooting events, somebody they know did it. So it's not even like have the kids do distance learning only now and keep them all home and close all the schools. Dude, I'll tell you what, man. If they closed all these school properties, sold them off, got rid of all the surreptitious staff and shit, because I'm sorry, you know, you don't need janitors if you ain't got no school, or you need quite a few less if you're doing it from a call center or something. Set up teachers in a nice fucking corporate environment where they can teach via Zoom. They got everything right there. Dude, I never in my life would have advocated for that in the past, but now I'm starting to think like maybe we need to start moving towards that. There doesn't seem to be any reasonable assurance to any of us that this shit isn't just going to keep happening, and it could happen at any fucking school, any day of the week. Dude, trust me, today was Tuesday. Those fucking kids got up, they put on their fucking shoes, and they ate their stupid fucking Pop-Tart, cobbled together their fucking homework and stuffed it in their backpacks just like Monday.
I mean, the only problem with that all distance shit is schools, like, sometimes the only place that, like, they can catch shit, like, abuse,
yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we can't... I mean, catching abuse is fine, but if we can't guarantee or at least ensure to a reasonable degree that these schools are fucking safe from people walking in and killing a dozen or more kids, like at what point do we say it's not safe for kids to be at these schools? I don't think it is. I don't think these schools are safe. I know if you look at the amount of elementary and like public schools in the country, and you look at the amount of school shootings that happen, it's a very small percentage, but you know what? There's no pattern to any of it. Mm-hmm. There's no regional pattern. The kill counts are typically really high because they're in closed areas, and you're talking about children and school teachers, not military badasses. And I'm not, like, maybe that's what we need to do. Maybe instead of enforcing ridiculous, oftentimes racist drug enforcement shit, maybe we put the cops to work being at those schools every fucking day. Dude, I don't like the idea of school being a place where you can't fucking turn your head without seeing police, but what... I also don't like the idea of people sending their children off with a bagged lunch to die. You know, what are we going to do? If we're not going to sensibly regulate guns, if we're really not going to impinge upon what people see as the Second Amendment right to own a gun no matter what, no matter how you want to do it, and buy it and sell it whenever you want. There's people that believe this.
Yeah, some schools have cops, but they're like hiding in the cafeteria or something in their little office or whatever.
Yeah. Thank you for talking about this, Paul. I don't know what we're going to do. I've lost all hope at this point. I mean, yeah. That should really be step one, though, not the bottom. Losing hope is foundational to action, I found. Because it takes something being hopeless for people to get together. And when people get together, problems tend to be solved in ways that nobody thought they could be. I expect zero change without a radical uprising. Glad I never had kids, because thousands more will die before reasonable bills materialize in Congress. You know, can't argue with that. Would you mind going and picking up those prescriptions?
Yes.
We'll just take whatever they got, and I'll call on the other ones tomorrow.
Yeah.
I appreciate it, babe.
Feeling your
just don't
blood
wanna-
pressure going up.
I just don't want to sit here off my fucking meds
Yeah.
for another week. It's fucking ridiculous, man. I'm an insured person, and I don't typically share a whole lot about my like medical issues and stuff. Love you, baby. But I take a number of heart medications, and I have taken a number of heart medications for over 10 years now, on and off, mostly on. Recent years I've been on them, and I've got a doctor here that still writes paper prescriptions. Or I had a doctor that still writes paper prescriptions. And absolutely fucking refused to call in a prescription. You had to go see him, and he had to ask you the same questions he asked you last time before he would write you another prescription. He just wanted the office visit fee. And so I finally got to fucking rock bottom with this dude when it was time for me to re-up my meds. I went down to the doctor, like I was told to do. Just show up and they'll work me in, and he'll look at me real quick and give me the prescription. I show up, the office is open, but there's a sign that says, "The doctor is away. Sorry for the inconvenience." So I go in and I talk to the ladies, you know, the nurses or whatever that are there. I don't know why they're even still there. I don't know why he was running his office. And they tell me he's on vacation and he's out of the country. And I said, okay, well, I have heart medication that I've taken for fucking 10 years, and I'm gonna miss a dose starting tomorrow. And they told me, like, well,
he can't do anything. We can't get a hold of him. We have no way of getting a hold of him, and he can't do anything anyway. He has to write the prescription.
And so I said, fuck it. And I made, because they couldn't tell me when he was going to be back. I was like, okay, is he coming back tomorrow? Is he coming back?
Well,
What did they say? They said he might be in tomorrow, you can call, but he's gone for at least a week. I was like, how do those two things jive? They don't, by the way. And so I found another doctor, made an appointment. It was actually faster for me to just dump that fucking doctor and change doctors than it was for me to sit and wait around for him to get me my fucking medication. Prescriptions are written in the U.S. now, most usually via direct computer hookup. Like the doctors have a direct line to the pharmacies. They write the script from the little program that the pharmacies give them, and it goes directly to the pharmacy. No email, no phone call, no bullshit. So it's like here in America, if it's time for you to refill a medicine, you don't call your doctor. You call the pharmacy. And then the pharmacy sends an electronic notification to your doctor's office saying, hey, Paul needs a refill on this medication. And then the doctor says, okay, signs off on it digitally. And then it just goes from there. It's just like I had my first doctor's appointment with this person today. Also, I'm having I've kind of told you guys about this. I'm having some kind of issue with my back and shoulder. That's what I think it is. That's making these three fingers that I'm showing you here, my index, middle, and thumb on my right hand, numb, like tingly. Not like dead numb. I still can move them and they're not sore or anything, and I can feel with them. I can feel texture with them. They just feel prickly. And sometimes I get shooting pains up my arm and all the way up into my shoulder that are connected to this. And so they just like were like, yeah, you probably have carpal tunnel. Carpal tunnel involves these three fingers feeling numb and prickly, shooting pains up and down your arms. Right. See, here's the problem. This all started after an injury somewhere between my neck and shoulder blade. I don't know what I injured, but I did not have any of these symptoms until that injury. And so while I appreciate, the whole idea that maybe I've got a fucking, you know what I mean? Maybe I've got carpal tunnel. It makes sense. I do type a lot. Spend a lot of time doing carpal tunnel-esque shit. But it just doesn't jive up to me that it happened. Like, I never had these symptoms. Yeah. So, they want me to treat this like it's carpal tunnel. And I don't think it is. And so next time I go to them, I'm going to have to tell them, like, I need an x-ray or some shit. I need somebody to look at my neck, my back. No, it has nothing to do with circulation. They gave me an ECG and an EKG. And so my circulation is fine. There's no, my fingers, like I said, they're not swollen or discolored or anything like that. And it's definitely something that, travels along what feels like tendons. Feels like it's moving up my arm through a series of tendons when it hurts. Like it's shooting up and down from here to there. carpal tunnel-esque activities. Sounds like a pinched nerve. How the fuck do I know, man? I stretch every fucking day, multiple times a day. I do a really fucking tough stretching regimen, especially on my neck and back. I always have. I have to function. Otherwise, my shit would just be seized up. Ugh. I'm a doctor, believe me. Oh man, yeah, they shot lasers up your penis. Yeah. I hope I don't get kidney stones, man. I can't handle that shit. I don't want that shit. Man, it is fucking soupy. It's fucking soupy out here, man. Soupy sales. Soupy Salesburger. Good evening. What horrors are you facing today? I just got done bitching about it. I'm not gonna recap the fucking horrors, but whatever, you know. The huge, I guess. Hi, Mr. Naughty Priest. Thank you. I'll be right back. Sorry to get up right when you jump in. Ugh. It's nice out, but not for long. Not for long here, unfortunately. Yeah, that's why I got the diagnosis. I understand that. It just seems to me that it's weird that my carpal tunnel started in conjunction with a really painful injury to some muscle structure or something in my fucking neck and shoulder area. What are you gonna fucking do? You know what I really think my diagnosis is? Getting old. Getting crusty. Getting leaky, getting creaky, getting squeaky. This old ship has sailed many midnight seas, gentlemen, and many more may lie before it. But make no bones about it, she's as good as sunk. For there'll be no maintenance, pitiful few berths in which the hull is repaired and the yard arm is shored. She'll end up at the bottom of the briny deep one of these days, maybe tomorrow, maybe not. feel old, but I'm half your age. Fuck you, dude. Whine about it somewhere else. Young buck. You got no idea what I'm talking about, man. You got a whole ass, like, 16 years worth of work in front of you before you can even start talking to me about aches and pains and creepiness. Heave ho, on we go. Heave me lads, heave ho. Little powder monkey Jim, handing up the powder from the magazine below. When he got struck by a ball that laid him so low. Heave ho, on we go. Heave me lads, heave ho. Dude, I learned that song in choir in the 6th grade. Isn't that funny? I learned that song in choir in the 6th grade, and I haven't sung it like that, probably out loud, since the 6th grade. But it's still lodged in there. The shanty stream. I was taught a shanty by this dude. He was from the Netherlands. And he made us sing it in the round, and it actually sounded really neat when we did it. But he would also make us get really drunk with him while we did it. And I still remember it. I think he made it up, or his friends made it up, or whatever. But you would sing it in the round, which means that, like, you know, I would start, I'll sing the whole thing. When I get drunk on a gallon of Carlo Rossi, I lose control, and I beat people up and spend the night in the old Ooskow. The Ooskow or Ooskow is like the drunk tank, basically. It's an old anachronistic word for the drunk tank. And so you would start, when I get drunk, and then the next person would start, when I get, and you get 3 or 4 people singing it. It's actually really, like, interesting and pleasing. I've never been around 4 people that can carry a tune since my high school days, or very rarely so. And so I hardly ever get to do cool stuff like that. But I would love to sing in the, like that little thing in the round one time. Yeah, because the song is written harmonically, it harmonizes with itself as you sing. You just have to have somebody that can keep their part, which means you have to have somebody who can sing tonally, which is, like, I gotta be honest with you, most people can't do it. It doesn't sound like, and I'm not trying to brag, that little ditty I sang doesn't sound very complicated, but it's an exact recreation of the ditty that I was taught. So one note off could throw the whole fucking progression of the song off, but I can sing tonally. Most people can't. But when you have 4 people doing it too, it creates this pleasant, like, babble. It's almost like water in a brook. Okay, Pauls, show us something. What do you want me to show you? Like, if I'm familiar enough with a song, I can sing it in key without reference. So you can you can listen to me sing a song, and then you can check it against the original and see that I'm singing either in key or an octave below in key. But I can't read music. I never learned to read and write music. Bohemian Rhapsody. Give me the toughest one. It's dark where I am. How's that possible? This round thing. I honestly got fought on it the last time I said that I had perfect pitch. I was told by my choir director that I had perfect pitch because I was able to recreate pitch without reference. But I don't read music. And so I can't have somebody call out like C sharp minor. I don't know. I have no frame of reference for C sharp minor. If you told me to sing a song that's written in C sharp minor, I would sing it in C sharp minor. Or whatever. So I don't really know how that squares. There seems to be a lot of people want to gatekeep that. So I don't say I have perfect pitch. I can just recreate pitch from memory. I don't need reference notes. If I know a song, I sing it in pitch. I sing it in key. I don't know how else to put it. See any new movies? Nah, man, I've been wrapped up watching The Wire recently, but I've been craving watching a new movie or two, so I'll probably do that. But no, I've been binging The Wire with Amelia some fucking 20 plus years after it came out. And I really enjoyed the first season. The second season is taking some time to pick up. It's real slow. Posty's dropping a new album soon. Yay! Definitely check that out. I never miss a Posty drop. Posty knows. That's the thing about Posty that some people don't get, dude. Posty knows. Dude, if you're feeling it, I don't even care what it is, dude. Rage, sadness, depression, anger, loss. Dude, Posty knows. And he wrote a song for you. All you gotta do is listen and find it. Going through something in your life, Posty's got a song about that. Either a song about going through that, or a song about staying positive and finding ways to live on besides that. Dude, Posty knows. What did you like most about Kurt Cobain? Kurt with a U. What did I like most about him? It's hard to sync up with that. I was like a teenager. I was a fan of his when he was huge. And so to ask me what do you like most about Kurt Cobain this many years after his death, I wish that I could have my teenage self answer that to you. I can't tell you what that dude meant to a whole generation of kids. And it didn't matter what color you were either. He was cross-generational, cross-fucking racial boundaries. Everybody, as the kids would say now, fucked with Kurt. Because he was giving voice and tone to the kind of disaffected, depressed, shoegazing angst that we were all living. I don't know how else to put it, man. There were different pressures on kids back then. I think a lot of people think that my childhood was very similar to theirs. I really don't think it was, I think I had different things going on. Now, maybe there were some appreciable similarities. I'm not saying I was raised like an alien or something, but there's a lot of different. Things were way more local. You didn't have this endless fucking distraction of social media. You had other things, getting drunk, getting high, MTV, fuzzy porn, or whatever. Thank you, baby.
There's the cholesterol one they didn't have
Oh.
at other as needed thing.
Okay.
So we'll
That's
call
fine.
him
I'll
tomorrow.
call tomorrow and find out what's up with it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
You can have some. Got me some Coke Zero.
Yep.
You want more water?
Sure. Thank you. Doesn't have angry screaming guitars. It's not for me. I mean, whatever. You know, I like that type of shit. I don't know. There's something about that, man. I'll tell you, this sounds stupid as fuck, but this is the truth. The first night I ever heard Smells Like Teen Spirit, it was like a sleepover I was having with a group of friends of mine. And one of them brought over Nevermind. They had the album on tape, of all fucking things. And I had this like boom box in the family room or whatever. We put it on in there. And at that point, that's when that song was really blowing up and Nirvana was really blowing up. It wasn't their first, offering, but it was their first gigantic international multi-platinum hit. And I remember we played that. We must have drove our parents fucking up the wall with that shit. I couldn't even tell you how many times we played it. It would end and we would just restart it. End, restart it. End, restart it. Jumping around, singing along with it, fucking playing air guitar, playing air drums. I remember for the first time in my life, the day after I heard that song, my neck was sore.
From bobbing.
From fucking headbanging. We were we were doing the whole fucking thing. Letting it whip. Letting it nay-nay. We were whipping our hair back and forth, dude. We were doing it. And I'd never connected with a piece of music like that before in my life. I'd never had a piece of music move me to the point where I wanted to just hear it, and not only hear it, but express all that angst and rage and emotion and shit that it brought out, And that's not even really their best song. It might be one of their best. It's hard to deny, but that was the next album that I bought as soon as I saved up enough money from my fucking paper route. I went straight down and I bought Nevermind on tape, and I let my tape rock till my tape popped, like fucking Biggie said. I broke that tape, and then eventually I got the fucking CD version. I got the CD version after I got the CD version of
In Utero?
In Utero, yeah. I ended up upgrading my second tape to a CD. But no, the best I can give you as an answer to that question is just by trying to describe what it did. I'll never forget the day he died. I'll never forget how I found out, because it's like, there's no Twitter, there's no TikTok. It was like, OMG, fucking Kurt Cobain died. We all went to school. And my friend, Morgan Cox, who, you hear him singing when I do my desktop streams. He's the guy that does the Skunk Junkies songs that I use. He was 1 year behind me. So he was in 7th grade, I was in 8th grade. And he came busting into the bus, crying, like bawling his fucking eyes out, because his dad would pick him up sometimes, and sometimes he would take the bus, and he called his dad to see if his dad was going to pick him up or not every day. And when he called his dad told him, "Oh, the fucking Kurt Cobain guy died, he killed himself." He came onto the bus, and that's how our whole bus found out. Was Morgan was just bawling his fucking eyes out, couldn't even speak, and then when he finally was able to talk, he just said Kurt killed himself. And a bunch of other people, we were all stunned. A bunch of other people on the bus cried. It was like, no. It was crazy.
Probably the same reaction of like when Elvis died or something.
I'd imagine, yeah, something close to it. Although it's different, Elvis was fucking old and washed out when he got old, fat, and was just barely doing Vegas tours. You know, he kind of died at the end of his career. This was somebody whose trajectory was like, Kurt would have just kept making bangers, and everybody knew it. Anybody that denies it now is just a fucking posh piece of shit that wants to be a contrarian, dude. If you were alive at that point, yeah, like Michael Jackson. Like, he had that kind of energy. That kind of just like magnetism that you can't explain because it only exists in a certain kind of performer. It only comes along maybe once in a generation, maybe fucking twice. And not many, some generations get skipped. MJ is mid, get the fuck out, kid. I mean, yeah, You Know You're Right was mixed and mastered after he died and cobbled together by the band and filled in. And that was just like a song that they had started fucking around with and had just his vocal. He would have made endless beautiful music. Maybe not endless, but he would have had a fucking career that was unlike anybody else. He still stands, in my mind, as a figure you can't really compare many musicians to. I put him in the same room as Jimi Hendrix. I put him in the same room as, what's his name from the Beatles? John Lennon. Sorry, I'm just brain farting his name. I put him in the same room as Beethoven and Bach. I put him in the same room as fucking Satchmo. I put him in the same room, man. He was up there. He had a little extra something. I put him in the same room as Michael Jackson. Well, Jimi Hendrix, Kurt, and a bunch of other people are part of the vaunted 27 Club. So if you make amazing music, best kill yourself before things go sour. For a lot of these people, things never really go sour, dude. Michael Jackson went sour because Michael Jackson destroyed his body and his mind with drug addiction and surgical addiction and all kinds of fucking weird shit. If Michael Jackson had stayed on that music, and in fact, I guarantee you, Michael Jackson, the day before he died, could have sat down at a piano and wrote a song that blew away every fucking pop song in the last 20 years. All it took was for some people like that, all it took was for them to put their hand to it. And it just absolutely is going to be fucking gold. It's just the way some people are. And Kurt had his finger on the pulse, man. That's what a lot of these people have. Is like, look at when Michael Jackson got big, right? The Jackson 5 come out right at the beginning of disco. And Michael Jackson starts to get big right towards the middle end of disco. And what does he do? He makes some of the best disco tracks ever, but starts weaving in the next generation of music. It's like he heard 10 years in the future and was like, oh, it's all going to be synths. Starts making synth pop before he invents the genre, before it takes over the fucking world. Everybody in the world was trying to sound like him. He doesn't adapt. The whole musical landscape adapts to him. Prince is in that camp, absolutely. Prince the fucking master. Abso-fucking-lutely, yeah. I think it's strange to find yourself as the person with their finger on the pulse. I don't even know if some of these dudes know it. Like, that's the fucking thing, is like, did Jimi Hendrix know that he was writing music 20 years into the future? Did he know that he was revolutionizing the way that the guitar was played forever and influencing like 6 generations of fucking guitar players up until today? Did he know? I don't know. Did Kurt know? I mean, Kurt certainly knew he was popular. And so did Jimmy, but did he know? Mr. Super Chat, sorry, home skillet, home slice. Let me look. Ruined my first tape at age 4 of a band called Firehouse. Played it too much. 80s hair metal at its finest. Yep. I don't know that I could place Firehouse, but I know what you mean. It's the only song I can play on the guitar is I Wish You Were Here by Pink Floyd. And I can only really play the you know, whatever, the verse. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. I don't know whether or not they even know what it feels like to be as influential as they are. '80s hair metal was full of coke and women. You can't beat that, man. I mean, sure. Whatever you say, Daddy-O. Whatever tickles your taco, man. I also think a lot of the way I feel about that has to do with me just being part of that little movement. I was right in the target age range. I was who he was singing to, whether he wanted to or not. I was who he was reaching. And I found something in his music that all the kids my age found. Some kind of release in listening to it. You know, you feel like the person that's singing that song understands your life in some way that they don't. Is that parasocial thing. That's healthy parasociality, by the way. The idea that we create connections with these figures and we imagine some of their art to be explicitly for us. That's not an unhealthy thing. It's a very natural human thing. But, you know, I wouldn't expect anybody born after me to have the same, you know. My sisters probably feel differently about it. They were way too young to catch the Nirvana wave, and so they probably don't really care all that much about it.
My mom caught onto it, even though she was older than you.
Oh yeah, I mean, I was definitely like not at the top of the age range for sure. High school and college, and everybody was bumping that shit.
So on MTV, man.
Yeah.
Mom got into a lot of shit for MTV.
Everybody did. MTV was fucking huge. It was the internet before the internet. It like filled a gap in society that had been sorely needed. Because back in the day, what were your options?
Just tune in the radio.
Yep, you listen to the radio and you get the same 10 songs that are popular right now. You don't get to hear anything alternative. You don't get to hear anything of different styles unless you're switching around. And if you do switch around, you're getting the same fucking mix of 10 songs that are popular right now, decided on by literal bribery, by the way. So yeah, no, fucking MTV was huge. It was just like explosively necessary. And it added a whole new dimension to music. The video, like some music videos are far from what I would call high art, but some of them are fucking amazing. You know what I mean? Some amazing art has been made inspired by the song, with the song woven through it.
How do you feel about like the skits and music videos?
Dude, I got a soft spot because, dude, on the West Coast, rap was all about the skits, man. The songs always started with the little skit. It's weird to me when Gin and Juice starts and they like somebody plays it on the radio and they have a cut that starts without the skit where he gets kicked out of his house. Snoop Doggy Dogg, need to go get a job. His mom and dad are mad at him. They kick him into the streets, and then he goes and chills. He's rolling down the street, smoking Indo and sipping on gin and juice all day. He's fucking laid back. Eminem was very, very heavy on the skits and stuff too in his album. I like them, you know, whatever. I got a soft spot for them. They're hardly done anymore. I guess rap is probably where they're done most often.
The one Nicki Minaj did in her last one was kind of lame.
Yeah, some of them are pretty fucking lame.
She also didn't have like hardly any ass in her last music video either.
I think she had them big old badonko implants put in. Maybe she had them. Yeah, maybe she's because it started looking like from some angles real kind of fake.
Yeah.
So maybe she got them sculpted down or something.
Yeah.
Smaller size put in.
Yeah, you can see like the edge of it. She was like sitting or whatever. You can see like her leg and then the.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the skits in hip hop come from this tradition in early hip hop, and you see this in some of the really first nationally popular MCs like MC Ricky B and Dougie Fresh. They did Lottie Dottie, which was just like a seminal track in hip hop. If you go to study the history of hip hop, you're gonna run across MC Ricky B, Dougie Fresh. MC Ricky B, by the way, the first name of Slick Rick. And they do a beatbox Lottie Dottie where there's this long lead in where Rick is just talking to the audience. And that was very common in early hip hop, where it would start with them like, you know, kind of rapping but kind of not, where it's just like leading them into the thing, and then they pick up the beat. So if you listen to the first part of that, the original cut by MC Ricky B with Dougie Fresh on the beatbox, you'll hear what I'm talking about. You'll hear like how skits were born. Another rapper that nobody talks about anymore now, real weirdo rapper too, so it just goes to show you that rap wasn't always homogenous back in the day. It didn't start from homogeneity. It started with this great like fucking cornucopia of different styles and stuff. A guy named Dana Dane, who would put on this fake British accent and this kind of like effeminate affectation. He was real skit heavy too. He's got a song called Nightmares that you can look up, where the whole skit is how he goes to this psychologist, and because he's having nightmares about this like hideous, ugly woman that's chasing him through the streets trying to get with him. And he sits down on the couch, but her face is in the shadows, you know. And then at the end of the song, it turns out that she's the woman from his dreams. No! But, you know, there's a lot of skit involved in getting it there. He comes in to the office. I'm here to see Dr. Slumber, please. I'm here because I keep having crazy nightmares. Modern rap is centralized garbage. Man, you just don't listen to enough rap, homeboy. I don't know what to tell you, man. Rap has always been good. If rap had a speed bump era, I think it was in the early 2000s and shit. Like that's like when Lil Jon got big and the Yin Yang Twins got big. We flirted with disaster for a little bit, I think, in like the early 2000s. But no, dude. Hip-hop has been solid all the way, straight through. Still solid. Crunk, yeah. Crunk rap. Shot. Dude, current rap is hot trash. You're just not listening to enough rap. You're not open-minded enough, man. There's a lot of fucking good rap out right now. There's a lot of good artists making a lot of good fucking music.
that kind of rap hip hop that TJ made fun of with his Up in the Club song.
Kinda, yeah. Yeah, the club rap. I'm not even a big fan of Kendrick Lamar, and I admit that he's a good MC. Like, he's making good music. It's just not my cup of tea.
How do you feel about dubstep?
So I got heavy into dubstep when it first came out.
Yeah.
I was listening to Dat Sick. Dude, there's this song by Dat Sick called Swagger. Oh my god, man. That's the quintessential dubstep track to me, man. That's after dubstep went down. Like, people that are really into dubstep will tell you that it had already gone down the toilet by that point. But I'm telling you, dude, Dat Sick, Swagger. You look it up. That's the song, man. That's the one. What I like that came out of the dubstep scene, and I really do think it came out of the dubstep scene, was the fuzzed out, overdriven 808. So now almost every rap song will have this super heavy 808 bass that is slightly overdriven so that it's just fuzzed out at the edges, like it's hitting so hard that it's just breaking through your speaker. And that started with dubstep. Dubstep started playing with that shit. Wait, let me get this straight. Lil Jon is banned, but Lil Pump is somehow good. Okay, Paul. Dude, I'm not asking you to agree with me, bro. You're throwing a lot of fucking, like, emotion behind what is ultimately a subjective opinion, man.
Some people just, all they like is Mongolian throat singing, they won't listen to nothing else.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that either, man. Different strokes for different folks. It's beautiful. Just chill out, man. It's okay. You ain't gotta fucking make the case. After Dark by Mr. Kitty. I'll have to check it out. No, I'm a fan. I'm a fan of rap as a genre. How do you feel about Flavor Flav? Flavor Flav was like a hype man. He was like the bastard hype man. He didn't really, like, his music was never what he was about. He was about saying yeah boy and dancing around on the stage with a big clock. A lot of trip hop heads are elitist and gatekeeping, whatever. I don't have time to be that way with music, man. I think everybody's right when they talk about music. Unless they're just factually incorrect, you know what I mean? When it comes to, like, the value of the music and shit, I'll sit here and tell you how I feel about it all day long. I love talking about music. But ultimately, it's just how I feel about music. I mean, we started this talking about how I feel about Kurt Cobain and why I feel that way. A lot of that's subjective. I happen to be the right age, man. I happen to come along at a time where I needed that outlet. I needed to have somebody that I felt like I could identify with that was older than me, but not my parents, you know? And that, along with, you know, just getting into hip-hop before that via just a random-ass mixtape that I bought at a fucking... I didn't buy it. My dad bought it for me at a swap meet. Had that never happened, I might be sitting here talking about, like, man, country western's still good. I don't get why people say country sucks now, man. Country western's still good. I mean, it's that formative. You know, that's what I could have come out listening to. And a lot of people, my parents included, listened to a lot of fucking country western music and shit. A very popular genre during my childhood. I have nothing against it. I like some of that old country and western, and outlaw country especially. But, you know, it's definitely not my favorite fucking shit to throw on and listen to and chill to. You know, and all of that is subjective. It's just, when was I exposed to this stuff? How did it speak to me? Which artists did I happen to get my fucking hands on? How did my friends feel about it? You know, I got a few of my friends into rap music. I was their little gateway drug into rap music because I always had all kinds of little weird mixtapes, and I was collecting little MP3s once that started to be a thing. I always had some shit. I'd throw it on and it bumped. I was the first one in my crew to get like a system in their car. That used to be a thing. You get a shitty little car and then you put like an $800 system in that motherfucker. So it just like rattled people's windows when it drove down the street. Dude, I had this little Ford Tempo that had two 12-inch Lanzar subs in the back, boxed. Glass box. Boom. Dude, that thing would just rip. It sounded so pretty too. Oh man, I miss that. Them was the good old days, man. But yeah, dude, a lot of my friends became rap fans sitting in my fucking passenger seat riding back and forth to Fresno. Because I would throw on some fucking dope ass shit, and they get to hear it as it was intended to be heard, loud and fucking in your face, and you know, that bass driving you. Fuck yeah, dude. See, I was very lucky too. I consider myself to be a lucky person that I don't have like super boomerish views on music, because I think a lot of people really, you know, aren't really given much of a choice in the matter. A lot of people are raised by parents and in environments that have a very particular like bias towards one type of music, and that's fine. But I was very lucky to grow up with parents that were very eclectic. They listened to a lot of shit, a lot of different stuff, and my parents were also audiophiles. So they, you know, when they had money back before the union busting and the bullshit and the fucking medical bankruptcy that ruined us, they could afford to have like a hi-fi system and then upgrade it, you know. So because of that, I had this old 1970s fucking analog tube hi-fi radio with two big old stack speakers, and that's what I listened to all my music on, man. I was fucking spoiled. My bedroom when I was a kid sounded like a recording studio in terms of the quality of fucking music I was getting. I had a turntable on the fucking thing. I had an 8-track on the fucking thing. I was able to fucking jerry-rig an aux connection in for my fucking little Discman when I got one. Dude, I was bumping. And so I got to grow up listening to a lot of really good music on a lot of really good audio hardware. I love soft rock, man. I love protest rock. My mom gave me a love for, you know, like 60s and early 70s kind of protest rock. I love Cat Stevens. Love Carole King. Carole King most of all, probably. Oh my God. My mom used to play Carole King constantly. And I love her voice. That band America. Just a bunch, man. And Joni Mitchell. Protest rock, yeah, you know. 60s shit. Peace, love, and fucking we gotta do something rock. Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young and shit. Jefferson Airplane, yeah, buddy. Creedence, yeah. Ever listen to Phil Ochs? No. 10 soldiers and Nixon's coming. We're finally on our own. I steadily hear the drumming. 4 dead in Ohio. Gonna get down to it. Soldiers are cutting us down. Should have been done long ago. Man, that fucking song is slaps. Yeah, I love that type of shit, man. I'm a sucker. But that was a lot of the music of my childhood. I love jazz music. Absolutely fucking adore it. I actually had an aunt that would play me jazz every time we were over at her house. She'd put on a little jazz record for me. She introduced me to Louis Armstrong, and I still fucking, to this day, people have seen it. I did a stream one time where I listened to Basin Street Blues, which is my favorite jazz song, and it moves me to tears. That song, if I listen to it intently, will move me to tears almost every fucking time. Only song that's like that. I love jazz. That song, I'm telling you, man, if you want to see the closest that a human being or group of human beings has ever come to recording a perfect piece of music, that's the closest you get right there. That song will move me to straight out fucking tears every time I listen to it. Just thinking about it makes me want to cry. In New Orleans, the land of dreams. Ugh. Gives me the fucking chills. Billy's got a fucking undeniable voice. Like Mama Cass. Yeah, the mamas and the papas. Listen to a lot of like funk, Motown too. What's the name of that song you said? Basin Street Blues by Louis Armstrong. Oh yeah, dude, Cool in the Gang. I love me some disco too. I love me especially some pop disco. Love some Bee Gees. Give it to me, man. Give it to me, babe. I love the energy of that music, man. It's probably why I like the way that rap has taken a turn towards disco. It's about booty shaking sometimes, man. Music doesn't always have to be the most fucking serious shit in the world, you know? You can have some fun with music sometimes. Dad owned a music store in Illinois. I got pretty cool upbringing because of that. If he still had it when I was in high school, I bet that would have made me a little more cool than I was. Probably so, yeah. Especially around the. If I understand, you're not my age, but yeah, dude, you definitely would have been a cool kid if your dad owned a record store in your era, for sure. Rick James, no, he had bangers, yeah. It was good. Unity. Super Freak. Hell, if you had a big ass boombox, you were the cool kid. Well, that's what I'm saying, man. My friends would bring music over to my house because my room sounded so nice. just because the setup in it was just wildly oversized for the space, and so it just filled that entire space. There was good acoustics, had decent bounce to it. It was an old sturdy fucking house and shit, and so it just music sounded real good, turned up nice and loud in there. I'm telling you, man, there's some shit like headphones, especially if you get a good pair of headphones, can be close to this experience. There's some shit in music you just straight out miss if you're not listening to it on high enough fidelity equipment. Like if you're the type of person that listens to most of their music through their phone speaker, man, you're denying yourself like 30% of the music, in my opinion. You're just missing like little touches and little parts of the beat and little fucking synth runs and little things that are happening that are being occluded by the fact that you're using some little mono speaker. You know, and if the same thing goes for your earbuds, man. Those things have horrible bass reproduction. Those things have horrible treble reproduction. They sound like shit. That's what I'm saying, but nobody has big ass speakers anymore, dude. Who has big ass speakers in their house? Who has a radio in their house anymore? Nobody. People listen to their shit through their like TV soundbar. It makes me want to cry, man. Or even just through their TV. You know what I mean? Like I'll do that every once in a while. I'll throw my fucking music on there, but like I know I'm not getting the experience. But I'm telling you, like even headphones don't really do it. When you're just in a space that's nicely filled with music by really, really good fidelity audio equipment, it just sounds great. It's like the music comes from all around you. You hear all the little tones and all the little uses of left and right and the fading between it. Takes you on a little journey, man. Maybe that's something I'll look into getting. I don't know what something like that would cost now. It's probably a lot of money, huh? If I wanted to get a rig like I used to have when I was a kid, instead of an analog stereo with two big old speaker stacks, I'd probably pay thousands of bucks now. DFF Frank Zappa win. Bro, I would love to, man. I gotta tell you, man, Frank was one of my heroes. I mean, still is one of my heroes. And not because I agree with Frank Zappa on every little fucking thing, but because I really respected him for not bowing down or backing down in the face of criticism. He made his art the way he wanted to make it. He sung it how he wanted to sing it. He didn't bow down to the fucking pressure of fucking censorship. He didn't dumb down his performances. The man was one of the, like, just an amazing fucking composer of music. I don't know if you've ever heard any of his classical compositions, but Frank Zappa makes some of the wildest fucking classical music ever. Just a fucking genius. And just a true Herculean fucking asshole that believed what he believed, had the courage of his convictions, was willing to stand on his own 2 feet, and did not back down to peer pressure, did not bow down to public pressure, didn't let what people may think about him influence what he output, man. I wish I could have a 10th of that chutzpah. I wish I was the 10th, I really aspire to that. He's one of the people that I look to when I'm feeling glum or down on myself, or I'm reading the comment section, or somebody says something mean to me and it fucking hits me in the feels or whatever. You know what I mean? He's one of those people that I think about, like, would Frank give a fuck about that idiot? No, he'd tell him to go fuck themselves. And he wouldn't even miss a beat doing it. You know, he's a reminder to me of the ability all the way up until you die to keep your fucking middle finger up to the world. And God bless the people that fucking do it, dude. So Frank Zappa was a huge influence on me. In my high school years, my friend Morgan, his dad was really into Zappa, introduced him to it as a young kid. He introduced me to it probably would have been about like 14, 15, so maybe freshman year, sophomore year. It's the first time he played me Zappa. I was instantly in love. He played me Joe's Garage. He told me, man, there's this crazy album, and it's supposed to be a play. It's a musical play, and blah blah blah. And I want to do it at school, and I want to put on this play one day. And he sold it to me like that. And we sat down and listened to it, and I was just fucking bowled over. It's fucking amazing. I couldn't believe how intricate it was and how fucking irreverent it was. It was so silly at times. Like, was intentionally silly, but also just so fucking melodic and beautiful and well played and precisely made, that the puerile nature of some of the lyrics almost seemed to melt into the musical landscape. It was just like a fucking revelation for me. And so I had him burn me CDs once that became a fucking thing, probably around 97, 98 was when we started burning a bunch, like an album's worth of WAV files to a couple of CDs and trading them around. I had him give me every fucking Frank Zappa shit that he had. And I wish I still had all that stuff. Dude, I've lost all my physical media over the years. I don't have anything. I don't own a fucking CD to my name. I don't think that's true. I do think I have packed away in some box somewhere an old fucking sleeve of CDs, but you know, it's a paltry. I just don't really have any kind of physical media anymore. But yeah, no, Frank Zappa is a huge influence of mine. The only reason I hesitate to do one is because I don't want to do a shitty episode on Frank Zappa. You know what I mean? I would want the episode to shine. Have some grain, Paul. Thanks, bad faith, Paul Atreides. I will have some grain. Sacha Baron Cohen should do a Frank Zappa. Yeah, he'd be good to, like, he'd look the part. I don't know if he could pull off the fucking mannerisms and stuff, but he's reasonably talented. It's getting a little old though. If you're gonna do a Zappa movie, you want to start when he's younger. Ever given a take on school shoot? Yeah. At the beginning of this, you can hear what I have to say about that. Just rewind the old stream, friend, and you'll be in Paul's take on that land. By the way, you know, if one of these happens and you guys happen to keep timestamps of it and put it in the thing, I will try and work on getting those put into the description so that they become those neatly available little, like, here's what Paul's talking about. You know what I'm talking about? The little chapters or whatever. Just look at how you have to format them and give me timestamps for stuff that interested you or that you think, you know, makes a good little chunk to watch for people that are looking for a certain thing, and I'll try and do that. I'll try and put that in the description. You know, I'm not asking you to do it for every one of them, but if one of them, you know, has something that you think is particularly good in it, timestamp it up, put it in the comment section or whatever, and I'll pull it up into the description and try and get these chopped up. Yeah, I was actually paying somebody to do it, and I didn't really see an uptick in engagement because of it, and times just got kind of tough, and I didn't want to spend any more money on it at that point. But yeah. Watching live performances is patron content. It depends on the live performance, but that's DMCA bait. You know, these fucking, like, audio scraper bots that they use to look for these songs and shit are capable of finding, you know, hearing the song not in its original context. They know it's similar enough. They know that this is Ghost singing Ritual or some shit, and then I got fucked. You know, so.
I think on Twitch a band got DMCA'd for their own song that they were performing.
Yeah, it was Metallica.
Yeah.
Of all people, too, by the way, because Metallica was the one band that was, like, all pro. Like, when the fucking MP3s started getting traded, they were the real big voice of, like, we gotta crack down on these people. They're violating they're stealing. You wouldn't steal a car, but you steal our fucking music, man. And so they were the victims. It was Schadenfreude, because they were the victims of their own fucking draconian bullshit. But yeah, they were doing a fucking live stream for charity, showed up and started singing like Enter Sandman or some shit, and the fucking live stream got pulled down in the middle of it because their company DMCA'd it.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So live performances Unless they're real, like, shitty.
Or obscure,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? But like even then, the people that upload these things oftentimes like will just copyright that video and
Yeah.
it'll be scraping for the video. That's how we got popped playing like wildlife shit. You know what I mean? Like people will just play these shitty little wildlife videos, and if you don't pause enough during them, you get fucking acclaim. Music should be free. Like we shouldn't have to pay for it. I mean, I agree and I disagree. The tragic truth of the matter is that musicians have to pay bills, and musicians that are working fucking 3 jobs don't really have a whole lot of time to develop their craft and to tour on their craft and shit while making no money. So they have to be compensated in some way. I think that the best thing that you could do for music is to argue for fucking fair compensation at the signing. Stop predatory deals, because a lot of artists come up, get their shit pushed to the top of the charts, and then they get dumpstered because it's cheaper to get rid of them than it is to keep them. And they get dropped off their labels, and they're left with a bunch of fucking jewelry that they can't sell to anybody because it's fucking weird and huge. And a bunch of cars they can't pay the fucking taxes on. And they go bust up. There's a little rapper named Lil Xan who's going through that shit right now. He's one of these dudes that blew up in like, I think it was like 2017 or some shit. Had this like little emo rap song called Betrayed that got real big. And he started fucking flossing and flexing all over the place. He's driving a G-Wagon. He's got management. He's got like these houses up outside of fucking LA, and he's throwing parties. And that little motherfucker now doesn't have a pot to piss in. He doesn't even have his G-Wagon. They took his G-Wagon because it wasn't in his name, it was in his manager's name. So when he couldn't pay the note anymore, the manager just fucking confiscated it. Bro is down bad. And he's just one of the dudes. Like a lot of that SoundCloud phase, dude, a lot of people got dicked. A lot of people got dicked, dude. Lil Pump got dicked real bad. And he was one of those dudes that used to brag about like, oh man, I get good deals. But dude, you can see Lil Pump flexing all kinds of cash and big ass fucking mansions and shit. He ain't got none of that now. He's still making music and shit, and he's still got some backing, but if you see him in a nice whip, it's a rental. If you see him in some fucking clothes that are $3,000, they were fucking rented for the shoot. He's not walking around in that shit no more. Dude just ain't got the guap. Dude, there's one dude that seems to be pretty fucking untouchable though. And it's a crazy, I don't even really like him all that much. 6'9". That guy, for some reason, like either he's got some kind of backers who are willing to just make him look rich all the time, or he just stays rich somehow. Dude, there's this absurd video. You can actually find it. It's pretty fucking funny. I think I talked about this on a Highdeology recently, but anyway, whatever. We're on the subject. He just got out of jail. He was supposed to be in jail for way longer on criminal conspiracy, like on a RICO charge, but he cooperated. And so he was released. The day this dude hit the street, well, like 5-6 hours later, he was in a presidential suite of some hotel, right? And he starts an IG Live, right? Starts this IG Live up. And the first thing people see on the IG Live is not him. It's two, like, strippers or thoughts or whatever you want to call them, G-stringed out, and they're booty clapping on the screen. And then all of a sudden, some of his music starts to play in the background. Some new shit that nobody's ever heard. And they're clapping their booties to it. The stream viewers are climbing, right? He ended up with over 2 million views on IG Live on this stream. And here's what he did, right? After what I'd say was like, to my memory, like 5 minutes of booty clapping, which is smart because it let everybody get in there, or at least a bunch of people get in there and start whatever they do on fucking Instagram, reblogging it or whatever, tagging it. He walks out, right? And the amount of just watches that he's wearing is absurd. He's got like at least conservatively like $5 or $6 million worth of watches on, just all up both arms. He's got these crazy expensive multi-million-dollar watches that are super fucking like all the rappers are getting them and shit. These Richard Mille watches. He's got like 6 different kinds of them on his arms, mixed in with Rolexes that are all bust down and Audemars. I mean, he's just got the whole watch gallery, right, on both of his arms. So even if you don't even look at the rest of the jewelry that he's wearing, right, and keep in mind, this is the day he got busted out of jail. He lost his record deal because he went to fucking prison. He's got 6 chains on. And all of them are like, I don't know, fucking just huge chains. Huge Cuban link chains, bust down with diamonds, with huge pendants on them. All of them, like, conservatively $1 million on his neck. Maybe 2. He's got rings on every finger. Just multiple rings on some of his goddamn fingers. He just put on his whole jewelry case. And just what this dude had chilling, waiting for him when he got out of fucking prison, was more money than most people will see in their entire life. And for some reason, the dude still has all that shit. I don't know.
Yeah, people can see, I guess.
Oh yeah. I gotta blow it up a little bit. You can see some pictures of it here. See, there's him just showing one of his wrists. Those are 2 Richard Mille watches. One of them is stock. I don't know the names of any of these, but it's on a green rubber strap. And then this one here is bust down Richard Mille. So he's taken a Richard Mille and put it on another strap and covered it in diamonds. From what I can look at. Hold on, I gotta take a closer look because that might not be a Richard Mille. No, it is. Just a fucking nice out Richard. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Anyway, you can go watch the stream. They don't have a lot of good pictures of it, but he takes off a bunch of chains at one point because he says it's way too heavy. So in those pictures, he's only wearing 1 chain. Dude, he walks out flexing like 9 chains. It's retarded. Dude's got a bunch of cars. He's always doing Instagram shit from like the fucking most lush looking places you've ever been. So either somebody's fronting this dude, or he's just got a fuck ton of money that nobody can touch, and it's keeping coming in because he's throwing it the fuck away. Why would we watch that? I don't know. It's an interesting commentary on our society and hip hop in general, I think. It's interesting to me anyway. I mean, there's flexing and then there's flexing, you know. Buying jewelry is stupid. Use that money to short Tesla. Okay. Got it.
Yeah, 'cause the stock market, nothing's gone wrong recently with shorting and stuff.
Yep. It's gross to me, blood diamonds, dude. If you blew up tomorrow as a SoundCloud rapper, you would be in the icebox making a video. Like, who was it that said that? Yo, this Bilbo Baggins right here, yo. We had icebox about to blow, I don't know what we bring, 70, 80 racks. Gonna get me some rings. Gonna get me a big Jesus piece, you know what I'm saying? Holler back. You'd be right in there, dude, buying all them diamonds. You know it. Don't lie. It's what everybody wants to do, deep down. That's why Post Malone's song Go Flex is the most brilliant song ever written in the history of mankind. It only took me 2 days of tripping on acid and listening to that song on loop to come to that realization, by the way. But at the end of the day, it's so fucking true, man. It's truer than any fucking goddamn thing. I just want to go flex. I just want to go. I just want to flex. I really do. Not all the time, but one time. One time, dude. One time I just want to go flex. Gold on my teeth and on my neck. That's it. I want to pull up to the hottest club with my wifey decked out head to toe, booty popping, titties banging. Fucking Gucci, Versace all over. She just looks like a fucking high fashion billboard stepping out of a fucking slammed down ghost. Maybe even a stretch ghost. Like I took a ghost and stretched it. And then I want to step out, even though I'm against fur, in a pink mink with gold teeth, Versace frames on my eyes, all pointers on all the Versace frames, a big old donkey rope all crusted out, the big old Morton salt piece all in like the blues and blue diamonds, the fucking salt spilling out of the salt shaker, big old pointers. Ladies, the little girl on the fucking thing, her dress is in yellow diamonds, just caked. And I want to walk around to the other side. I want to let my wife out, let her grab her little Versace bag. We're not even going to the line. We're just walking straight up and saying, what the fuck, man? You know you're about to let us up in here. Well, we just, look at the keys we just threw to your valet. Come on. They're going to let us right in that motherfucker. Just racks. Whatever's going on in there, dude. Strip club, we're racking. Drinks, racks, we're buying rounds for the whole place. Own the whole place for a night. Walk out stumbling drunk, but still able to get into the car. Driver's waiting. Pulls up in the stretch ghost. Not a scratch on us. Looking every bit as fresh as when we stepped into the club. Get in the limo, drive home, and then that's it. Never show up again. That's the biggest flexible. You know, it's kind of sad to keep coming back and keep flexing, but if you just flex one time, you're a legend. Forever. Forever. See? I just want to go flex, man. One time. Get you some diamond body jewelry for your various piercings and shit. Get you all crusted out. However, how would you flex? If you were gonna flex for a night, like what look would you go for?
I don't know.
You don't know? You know what? You know what, babe? It doesn't matter that you don't know right now because we're gonna have the money to flex out with a personal fashion consultant that's gonna fucking deck you out in the best of the best, baby.
The only thing I've done close to that is I wore a Calvin Klein dress to a strip club.
That's pretty good. I think Calvin Klein is a pretty decent, you know, designer or whatever. It ain't no fucking like Versace though.
Yeah.
You gotta deck all the way out. You gotta go all the way out. Sky's the limit.
Dude, that was a weird strip club trip too. Because like the stripper literally like went in and like shoved her hand in my dress and grabbed my boobs.
Oh yeah, dude. Strippers are always happy when like a bisexual woman comes in that wants to play because they get to go way over the line with women.
And then they get the guys all oogling.
Right, and it just drives the guys even more fucking crazy. It's like a free show.
Yeah.
So they're gonna be all over you. Yeah, that's for sure.
Then she had a band-aid on her pussy. And I'm like, nope, I don't want a lap dance from you because you got a band-aid on your pussy.
It is a little weird. I've been to places where they have that weird little koozie strip or whatever the fuck they put over it.
No, I mean like a literal band-aid, like she had cut herself
Oh.
or something.
Oh, I thought you meant covering it up.
No.
Yeah, I
saw that, I'm like...
Yeah, no, never mind. Yeah, you got a herpes sore or something, you're hiding with a Band-Aid? Get the fuck out. No thanks. Dude, you know, I only got wee-wad by a stripper one time, dude. I'm very resistant to stripper methodology. Because I understand what's at stake. I understand the game. But I had one stripper that hit on all cylinders for some reason. One time, I was in Arizona, and I was dragged there by a friend that wanted to go, and he was currently in the back negotiating hand jobs and shit. And he'd left me out there, and I didn't want to even spend a bunch of money. I just wanted to throw some dollar bills down and hang out for a while. He's in the back for who knows how fucking long, and this one stripper comes up. She's all kind of like, not, I hesitate to say goth, but kind of goth-esque, a little dark.
Yeah, like,
She had a pixie cut. She had real dark makeup.
Pixie dream girl.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. Small boobs, smaller than all the other strippers. She was just very, like,
petite.
And when she walked out, it was kind of like, what? But then she just, like, she threw on the most generic stripper song, Cherry Pie by Warrant. And she had every dude in that place going fucking nuts. And she zeroed in on me during the dance. She saw that even amongst all these other gorillas, my lust was deeper.
Yeah.
And found her way to me. But she wasn't good enough to negotiate me to the back room. I just wasn't about to spend that type of money.
And what's a lap dance? Like $20?
Yeah, I mean, I ended up getting a couple.
Yeah.
I ended up getting a couple of lap dances, but it was an expensive endeavor. But didn't you go to a strip club with Pimp Monk once? Yes. So that story goes like this. After the New Orleans meetup was broken up by the very, very annoyed staff of the little place we'd rented that thought that they were going to be doing like a wine mixer or some shit, and it ended up being like the most hellish horde of gorilla BO reeking fucking weed smoking neckbeards they'd ever seen. So we were ushered out of that place post haste, and a group of us found ourselves wandering aimlessly on the streets of New Orleans, following a very, very drunk but also very commanding TJ, who claimed to know where a strip club was. And somehow TJ walked us to a place, and I can't remember the name of it, honestly, I was too drunk, but we saw a sign, and he was like, see, I told you, there it is, Peekaboo or something like that. We were like, fuck yeah, man, you found it. And we all piled into this place, and it was this tiny little place, and these two people were looking at us like, what the fuck? Like, I say like 8 of us got in before we realized this is not a strip club. It was like a bakery or some shit that was closing down for the night, called Peekaboo Bakery or some shit. So TJ had led us to a Peekaboo Bakery. And then finally he finally gets his bearings about him, and he finds Peekaboo Strip Club. And we all pile in there. And amongst the herd are me, my ex Ashley, Pimp Monk, Scotty. Well, Scotty came later, but Scotty ended up there as well, and TJ. And Ashley was by. She wanted a lap dance from one of the strippers. I paid for it. Stripper said I could sit there and watch, so I was like, fucking cool, I'm down with that. So I get a bird's eye view on my girlfriend being ravaged by another chick. That's kind of hot. So on our way back there, I'll never forget this fucking shit as long as I live, dude. This is why no matter what, man, I love Pimp Monk. Pimp Monk is a true motherfucking character, bro. I'll never forget this shit in my life. We're walking down, they got these little booths with these little cloth things they pull in front of it for the private lap dances. I walk by, and Pimp Monk is sitting there, big as the moon, taking up the whole booth, sitting on a little bench there. And this black stripper's on her knees in front of him, and his big old belly is and her face is obscuring what's obviously going on, which is a blowjob, or at least the precursors to a blowjob or something. I looked at him, and he smiled, and he goes, "Pausey, what's up?" And then that stripper got up and was like, "You're fucking up my mojo," and closed this shit in my face. And I was like, "Whoa." Dude, I'll never forget that as long as I fucking live, dude. That was gold standard right there. That was the goods.
Yeah, she's probably pissed because she ain't supposed to be doing that. He's like yelling at people.
It was like I was interrupted. I was making her fucking have to wait longer to get over what was happening. You know what I mean? So of course she was pissed at me. I'll never forget that shit, man. For the life of me, I can't remember the lap dance at all because I found it real awkward just standing there kind of watching. I was just like, yeah, this is hot, but I also feel like I'm a real third wheel here. So I just kind of like walked around the corner and let happen what was going to happen. I wasn't real into the watching part of it as much as I thought I was going to. And so yeah, I don't really remember much of that, but I'll never forget Pimp Monk sitting there. He's the moon. Faded as you've ever seen a human being faded too. Pimp Monk drunk off his motherfucking ass. Just a big old catfish sitting there. I love that guy, man.
I think that was TJ's goal with the DFF New Orleans meetup, but he just got a little too far.
Yeah.
I think everyone like at the end was like, "Where's TJ to lead us to the strip club again?"
Yeah, I mean it was. TJ was in no shape to lead anybody anywhere. TJ got way too drunk at the second New Orleans meetup. But that happens, man.
And you say the LA one was your worst one?
The Toledo. Toledo's the one where I got pissed. Like, I drank way too much, let's be honest. People were buying me drinks, and I tried to start it. So I was telling people, just give me a fucking, a Newcastle. Like, beer, come on, do a shot. I'm like, dude, trust me, everybody's buying me drinks. I'm just going to drink beers. I can sit and drink Newcastles till the day is long, and I'll get fucked up, but not too fucked up to function. Mm-hmm. And so that was my idea. But then we were just talking about this. It's funny, the Jello shot guys. Yeah. So there are a couple of fans that made like something like absurd, like 600 Jello shots, and they brought them on this fucking group of trays stacked on top of each other, and they're passing them out in the club. And they did it for a long ass time. I took like 3 of them because they just walk up, "Pause you a Jello shot." And Jello shots are deceptive, man. They're deceptive because they don't taste all that fucking alcohol-y. They go down all smooth. You can just swallow them right down. And dude, I must have did like 5 or 6 of them before they got kicked out of the bar.
And they probably take a while to kick in too because you gotta digest the.
Well, yeah, because the Jello has to break down, and then all that alcohol gets released in you. So I was beer in one hand, Jello shot in the other hand, pretty much all fucking night that night. Yeah. And then the venue place closed down, but there were a couple of real hopping ass fucking looking bars that were just down the street. And it was this open drinking area in Toledo where you could carry your fucking drink from one place to the next. So that was kind of nice. And me and a group of people walked down to a bar, and we were all going to go in, but we wanted to have a smoke first, so we were standing out in front of a place, kind of on the street, on the sidewalk and shit in front of the place. We were just having a good time. I remember one time we tried to do like a freestyle rap battle or whatever. We were just having fun, you know what I mean? There was nothing bad going on. I've told this story before too. And we're doing that, and this old boomer comes walking, this old sourpuss motherfucker. I'll never forget him either. So that's a sad part of my memories. I never forget the good people, and I never forget the fucking shit fucks either. This fucking guy walks out. I can still see him in his fucking khaki shorts and his little fucking polo shirt tucked in with his belly hanging over it, and his little bald pate. And he just looked like George Costanza, basically, but less attractive, if you can imagine. And he's like, hey, you know, at first we didn't know he was talking to us. We're all minding our own. And he keeps saying it, and so eventually, you know, I look over and I'm like, what? And he goes, hey, yeah, you. I was like, what? He goes, you know what you all should do is you should all go home to your mother's basement is what you should do. And we were just all like, what? It's like, yeah, that's right. You shouldn't even be out here disturbing just coming here and making these places. You need to go to your mother's basements where you live. Go back to your mother's basements. It's like, motherfucker, I haven't lived number one, my mom never had a basement. Number two, I haven't lived with my mother since I was fucking 19 years old. Number three, eat a fat fucking bowl of dicks. Who are you? And at that point, his wife was like, oh, you know, blah, 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 trying to calm him down. She's all embarrassed of him, and other people in the group are yelling at him and shit. He goes, fuck off, get out of here. And on a normal night, dude, when I haven't been drinking a bunch of fucking tequila disguised as Jell-O. See, here's the thing. My favorite hard liquor is tequila, but it's also the most dangerous. Because when I drink tequila, I get a little bit borracho. I get a little bit angry. A little bit hair triggery in a way that I'm usually pretty loosey-goosey when I'm drunk. But if I've been drinking a lot of tequila, it's a whole different ball of wax. And I was all tequila drunk, and that fucking guy, he fucking stumbled off, got in the car with his wife, admonishing him the whole way. She was embarrassed. But I could not get over that shit. I sat there and I was with that group of people and I was like, man, fuck that motherfucker. It's like, who the fuck is he to come out here and judge us fucking standing around having a good time just like he is, a sour old fucking bald piece of shit. Fuck him, man. Fuck him and his wife. Fucking blah, blah, blah. And people, you know, eventually, you know, everybody else wanted to do the same, but like when people were ready to move on, I wasn't. It's like, oh, that motherfucker. I was like, I'm gonna go tell TJ about this motherfucker. And so I walked up into the place, right? And I looked around and I found TJ sitting at the bar with just like a whole cloud of the acolytes, right? Like people sitting next to him, people like crowded around behind him. And he's just laughing and drinking with everybody and shit. And I sat down with TJ. Sat down, like I, you know, got in the mix and said, hey, excuse me. And I said, hey, TJ. He's like, yeah, Posy, go have a shot with me, blah, blah. And I was like, no, dude. There's a fucking guy outside, TJ. He fucking said we all lived in a basement. And TJ went, and I was just like, man, I'm not gonna get any fucking backup here, man. TJ's not in the place I am. And so I was just like, fuck it, man. And so I just got a fucking Uber and I went home. Everybody thought I was mad at somebody at the thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like there was all these people coming up to me as I was waiting for the Uber, and they was like, dude, Paul's ego, are you pissed off at TJ? I was like, fuck, no, dude, that fucking idiot. And a lot of them didn't even know who I was talking about because they weren't in the group of like 10 or 15 people that were standing with me. And everybody was trying to like, oh, come on, man, just chill, don't go. I was like, I gotta fucking go, man. I'm just gonna be, I'm in a fighting mood. Like, when that switch gets flipped with me, it's hard to flip that switch, but when it gets flipped, man, I just gotta fucking ride it out. Especially when I'm drunk and not in my right mind, you know what I mean? It's not a place I get to all that easily, but, like, for some reason, that dude triggered it all the way in me. It was just the rudeness of it, like, walks out of a bar as he's going home, sees a group of people standing around laughing and having a good time. I gotta ruin that.
Yeah.
And that's after he went in there and got drunk.
Yeah.
Think about it. Dude, if you're drinking and you're that sour, like by just default, holy fuck, man, you're doing it wrong.
still not as drunk as after that drinking contest, though.
Nah. That was epic level drunk. I've only been drunk like that probably 2 or 3 times in my life outside of that. And they've all been very not pretty. So yeah, that drinking contest was fucking brutal, man. I can't believe how much I put down. Can't believe I kept it down for as long as I did.
Yeah.
But I eventually had to puke into a trash can for a while, and then I was just fucking...
You were nice. You were puked out by the time you got home.
Yeah, well, there was nothing left in my stomach, man. I puked up every goddamn fucking thing. Puked up the goddamn fucking dark liquid from the fucking dark sarcophagus, man. The whole thing, the whole goddamn mess came back up.
Shorts all fucked up with the losers.
Yeah.
Shit.
Was that the most you ever drank? I don't know, man. It's hard to qualify that. I've been in that state before. Like, this is a story that I don't tell a whole lot, but I know I've told it on here before. So, my mom got remarried when I was still a teenager. And she had a wedding. And then had a reception. Right? And that's typically where it stops, right? But my mom had a wedding, a reception, and then a cool kids only after party to the reception. Where if you weren't explicitly invited, you didn't even know it was going on. It was on the DL, and it was about 30 or 40 people that were supposed to come over to her house and, hey, we're going to continue to get lit. Mm-hmm. And me, my cousins, you know, obviously were on that list. My sister, before she was a good little Christian soldier, was pounding them back.
You should have had a fucking
She
JVC camera.
Dude, she got in her whole own drama that night too. She was gonna go across the street and beat the ass of the little kid that lived next door because she heard he was talking shit.
Yeah.
He wasn't even there. Like, and somebody put it in her ear at the party that the kid across the street had said something about her that rubbed her the wrong way, and she was over in his lawn threatening to beat his ass that night. So good times, great oldies. But that night, it was my old fucking friend Tequila that did the fucking number on me. So that night started off with it started off with a bang. It started off with the dude that my aunt was dating. So I have this aunt who's actually, I don't even want to explain it. She's actually my cousin, but my mom's parents were really old when they had her, and so she has a lot of people in her family that are her age, but they're her cousins. Mm-hmm. And so she's actually my first cousin, but she's old enough that I always considered her my aunt. So I'll just call her my aunt. So my aunt had this boyfriend named Dave, who was full-blood Cherokee Indian, and had the whole kind of deficiency of can't hold their liquor very well because they don't have the adapted liver and shit. And so he was well known to become a horse's ass in public when he got too drunk. And because my aunt had an invite, it was impolite to tell her you can't bring Dave. So Dave was at this party. And so the night started with him running up against another monolith of assholery, my friend Waylon, who when he gets drunk is the most obstinate person you've ever met. The problem for Dave is that my mom loved Waylon and hated Dave. That's really what it came down to. Because Waylon provoked Dave all night verbally. They were playing pool, and one of the ways Waylon plays pool is he gets in your head. He shit talks you the whole fucking way. Like, if you fuck up, he won't let you forget it. And Dave, I remember very little of it because I was very drunk, but I remember Dave trying to pull rank on him at one point and saying, like, I was in the Marine Corps. And fucking Waylon was just like, oh shit, well sir, yes sir, that shot fucking sucked, sir. You know, he was really pushing it. But you know what? He's a kid too. And Dave's a grown-ass man at this point. He should know how to fucking walk away from the situation. And so Dave throws down his pool cue and walks out back, right? And here's where he made a mistake. He starts talking all this crazy bullshit about what he's about to go do to Waylon. Now, I don't think he was about to do shit.
But he wanted to sit and vent, and so I'm gonna beat that fucking fagot's ass. I'm gonna kick his ass. I'm gonna kill him. I'm gonna fucking rock him. I'm gonna beat his fucking ass. You know what I mean? He starts talking to people out like in my mom's backyard. The problem is that the people in my mom's backyard feel the same way about Dave that my mom does. Nobody likes the fucking dude because he's an asshole, and something like this always happens at every party, and he always has to try and get brolic. And so anyway, here's where the mistake was made. He told somebody who told somebody, and it got back around to my cousin. And my cousin has a whole family of giant boys that are his sons. They're all just big giant fucking people. And it got around to him that Dave, because he's dating now, Dave is dating his sister, my aunt, right? So, or my cousin. So anyway, he hates Dave too. And he's drunk. And so all it takes for him is to hear Dave is threatening to kill Waylon. He was like, motherfucker, what? And I remember him. It's funny. It's violent, but it's funny. So I remember a few things about it. I remember my cousin walking up to Dave and just slapping him in the face as he was sitting there, and Dave didn't do shit. He was like, what are you going to do now? You going to kill him? Fucking kill me. And then I remember my cousin and one of his giant boys dangling Dave over the pool like they're going to throw him in. And then I distinctly remember Dave being given the actual bum's rush. The literal, shove you through the door and kick you in the ass so you fall over on your way out. And they slammed. That was how Dave left the party that night. So that happened early in the party. So I think that you could surmise a lot of drinking was going on. And so my very cousins who had done that wanted a victory lap, and that victory lap ensued calling everybody around that they could see, and they all loved me. So I got beelined for and found and brought into their little thing. We're taking tequila shots. Straight up, man. Straight up tequila shots. We're going to do a few shots. And they got me all pumped up, and I was like, fuck it, yeah, let's do it. Tequila shots. Doing them proper, you know what I mean? They got the limes, they got the salt, they got the whole fucking nine. We're just ding, 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 ding. I don't know how many shots I did, but I had a great time sitting there. Had a great time with my cousins laughing about Dave's stupid ass getting fucking tossed in the street. And then I was like, man, I gotta have a smoke, man. He's like, all right. So I stood up, and I remember walking through the little common area where my mom had that pool table when I was growing up, out into the back, to the back porch. And I remember sitting down on one of the little seats she had out there. I don't know who I was with. And then I remember the world literally spinning harder than it's ever spun in my entire life. I'm sitting there and people's voices sound all far away, like they're coming out from underwater. And I literally can't keep focus on which way the world is tilting. And I'm just sitting in my chair like this. And that's where I black out. I wake up in the shower. And I'm sitting there, I'm laying in the shower. And here's what I wake up to. You can imagine being inside my eyes. So I'm laying prone in the shower, kind of back and neck up against the wall. The shower thing is on. The water's all warm and hitting me, right? And I look around and I look at the water and it's hitting something on my belly and rinsing it down the sink. I have at some point puked on my own naked genitalia and stomach. My balls, everything was covered in vomit. I had this river of vomit that was down the front of me, and the shower was just starting to wash it away. And I was like, what the fuck? So apparently what happened is my girlfriend at the time went and got my mom, and they saw that I was about to puke, so they stripped me naked and threw me in the shower. And then while they went to go get some towels and shit, I puked all over myself. And so anyway, they helped me get cleaned up. Somehow they helped me get stood up, because I'm a big dude at this point. And they helped me to my old childhood bedroom, where me and the girlfriend were going to sleep. And I lay down, and I decide that this is the time to try and start sexy time.
And so I somehow talked my girlfriend into letting me go downtown. And the last thing I remember is going downtown. I literally blacked out face first in her vagina. She said she didn't realize that I'd fallen asleep until I started like blowing air bubbles. Like, so I gotta argue that that's gotta be one of the most blacked out drunk.
Yeah. You didn't black out with the drinking contest.
I did.
You did?
I have moments of very limited memory. Like, I remember the contest pretty clearly. Not the whole thing, though. It starts to get fuzzy the later in the contest it goes. I'm drinking more and more. Then I remember this really intense conversation with Scotty. Really intense. Not bad, just like Scotty's like, Paul, we're gonna make a bunch of money together. Fucking blah, 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 blah. We're gonna do this. We're gonna fucking do this right. Oh, man, we're gonna make a bunch of money. Like, he was, I'm repeating myself, but he had a whole spiel he was cutting to me. And Scotty was real drunk, too. Not quite as drunk as I was, because he didn't have the opportunity even to drink as much as I did. I just rolled drinking constantly. That's how I won. But he was drunk. And so I remember very vaguely that conversation. And then I remember Stevie coming in, and he goes, hey, Paul, do you want to move to the couch? And Chelsea was with him. Chelsea was like, yeah, we put on some Post Malone on the couch. And I was like, huh? And so they helped me get to the couch. And then I remember, for some reason, calling for Taylor. I was like, Taylor. She's like, what, Paul? What's going on? I was like, I'm going to throw up. Not right now, but in like 5 minutes or less, I'm going to throw up. So if you could get me a wastebasket or a trash bag or some shit, I would surely be obliged. And if you could hold my hair back for me, that would really help too. She's like, okay. So she was, maybe that's why I called for Taylor, because even in that state, I knew who was going to get it the quickest. And she drunk the least. She was planning on sober driving everybody home, so. So she get her Zandalar Cryptoducius Esquire. So he was hanging around. And all of a sudden, I'm sitting there with my face in the fucking thing with Post Malone playing in the background. My face is in the puke bucket. And I hear that elevated Scotty voice. I don't know what he's saying, but it's that staccato rhythm that Scotty gets when he's real mad and he's telling somebody what's what. It's like this fucking, fucking tell me, I'm fucking you, motherfucker. You know what I mean? It's that. That's all I can hear. You know what I mean? And I kind of like weirdly bring my head up, and very blurrily I can see Zandalar Cryptoducius. Like, what, man? I don't even know. Scotty fucking got the wrong idea about some shit with Zandalar and thought he said something that he didn't say or implied something he didn't imply. And Zandalar got the brunt, man. Zandalar got kicked out of the house. He was like moping around out front because his car keys were still inside. And somebody had to like go get his car keys for him so he could go home. I vaguely remember that. And then my memory literally gaps. I don't remember getting in the car. I remember being in the car briefly. And then I remember them walking me up to the stairs to you. And I remember very little about that too. I remember being in the bathtub. I remember wanting to see you and the animals. And crying, weeping, and being real drunk in the bathtub. That's what I remember. And I don't remember getting out of the bathtub. I don't remember falling asleep.
Yeah.
So there's little periods of when I get to a certain point, I lose time a little bit.
The bathtub, man. It's too hot. It's too cold. It's too hot.
Oh man, what a mess. Dude, you'd only been there like 5 days or some shit? It's like our first week of trying it out. And I come home from work like that, just a total fucking like regressed 3-year-old. Blubbering and whining about how hot and cold my bath is. And incomprehensibly slurring. It's one of the reasons I don't drink anymore, by the way. I've had enough of those binge experiences to know that I have the propensity to abuse alcohol, and I really don't like it. I don't like getting so drunk that I get mad at some fucking boomer that I can just tell him to go fuck himself, and I'll never see him again. You know what I mean? I don't like getting so drunk that my wife has to become fucking, you know, a fucking nurse for 12 hours while I sit there and fucking weep. Yeah, that's just not acceptable behavior.
And Cricket appreciated all your apologies.
Oh, I know. He took his sweet ass fucking time with me, though. Cricket sussed me out. He took his time. He wasn't about to give up the love immediately.
Gotta earn a cat's respect.
Yeah, you do. You gotta earn a cat. You gotta earn a cat's love. You mistreat a cat ain't gonna give a fuck about you. Even if it's just minor mistreatment, like shunning and shit. They'll just be like, well, fuck you, you bitch. Animals know when you're drunk. Oh, yeah. Dude, you want to know? Oh, where's Dinor?
He's right there.
Okay, good. I'm making sure he didn't skirt again. Dude, Dinor is so tuned in to psychedelics. Every time I take psychedelics, I have to, like, be away from him. Because he reacts so intensely to me being on a decent dose of psychedelics. Every time I've tripped, I've had to sequester myself away from Dinor at least at some point during the trip, because he becomes this, like, engine of intent.
Yeah.
He won't stop.
Staring into your soul.
Yeah. It becomes uncomfortable, you know, and I hate that for the little guy, because I know he's just, it's not even like he's worried, it's just like he's excited because he can tell I'm excited, you know. But whatever he's dialed in on, man, I can't ride that wavelength. He's tripping harder than I could ever trip.
The Dinor stare is...
It's already something that draws way too much empathy.
Yeah.
If you've never experienced the Dinor stare in person, it is piercing, and you can feel it from across the room behind your back. You know when he's looking at you. There is so much intent that comes out of his little face that it is so, like right now, he's fucking looking at me like the cosmos lives within me. I don't know what this little fucker is seeing. But he's got this expressive face with these hyper-expressive, hyper-humanized eyes that are set human. Like, they're not far apart like they are on a lot of dogs. They're on the side of his head like they are on a lot of dogs. They're real front and center, just like a human. They look straight at you. They got fucking 1 billion tons of character in them. Except these eyebrows that just naturally occur that add a whole layer to it. And I'm telling you, dude, on psychedelics, it's too much for me. There's too much connection there. I've tried to sit and trip and look at him. But he won't just be looked at. He has to be like he is now, up in your lap, and bring you his ball, and all of that stuff has dire implications.
Yeah.
I really do think that psychedelia is like an empathy bomb. If you trip with another person, tripping solo is great. I have a very introspective trip. I love that shit. Sometimes I crave that. Tripping with another person, it's like a conduit is opened between you two. Where I hesitate to say the word truth serum because it doesn't even do it justice. It's just like there is a level of connectivity between people that isn't expressed in the day-to-day. It exists. I've experienced it multiple times since I was a teenager. And it's fucking wild, man. And you can do that same thing with animals. Dude, I've sat and tripped and looked at Nova, rest in peace. And life-changing shroom trips. It's not even conversation, though. I see what you're saying. The longest conversations you ever had were on acid. I think that's probably true for me, too, but it's not even conversation. It's closer to what I said, like a conduit of ideas. And they are, like, if you're rolling on the same fucking wavelength as another person, listening to the same music, vibing at the same frequency or whatever the fuck, there's just this, like, an intertwining that happens where the conversation, it becomes meaningless. It's more about the expression of that conduit. So what's being talked about becomes less interesting than the talking, which is a very strange place to be. That's the best way I can describe it. And it's all filled with just hard truth bombs. No discussion is off limits, no topic is taboo. It's a very free-form space. It's almost performative, but it's driven by this energy, this kind of stimulation of the part of the brain that isn't stimulated like that all that often. And it's indescribable, man. It's crazy. I would be a fundamentally different person than I am today had I not experimented with psychedelics in my life. I truly fucking believe that. I've had some bunko trips too, or some little like mild trip. I'm fine with that. Like a low dose mushroom trip is always real positive and fine. But I'm telling you, man, I've had some experiences that nobody can ever take from me that are just as clear memory-wise as some of my childhood upbringing shit. Like they happened, but I know that they did not happen. Not the way that I remember them. But those memories are there just as real as any beach that I can imagine in my mind. The layout of my house, Dinor's little face, my wife's face, just as real as any of that. The craziest shit you can imagine, man. I one time sat in a hot tub with 3 other people, tripping my balls on this weird fucking acid derivative called Ganesha, which was one of the heaviest fucking trips I ever had in my life. We'd all taken it. We were all rolling. We're sitting in this fucking hot tub together. And my mind, as we're sitting there talking, is drawn to geopolitics. I start looking, and as I'm thinking about different countries of the world, the water in front of me starts to bow like it's a ball, and suddenly the hot tub is a planet. And all of the people in the hot tub represented a different point of view. They were all a different country. The conversations that they were having were diplomatic conversations and disagreements. And it was the most real thing I'd ever seen in my fucking life. I felt like I was a giant bathing in the globe, watching these other giants that represented. And then when I entered into the conversation, I entered into it with that intent. I'm a country. It was the fucking wildest shit. Maybe not the wildest, but it was just one of those things that I'll never forget, and it's as real in my mind as any other fucking memory I can summon. I remember that same trip, we made a fire pit. When it died down to embers, I stood there for probably over an hour, and I just stared at it. And I saw the universe in the embers. Literally saw the universe in my mind during its heat death. So when there are so very few, and it's slowly, I made that connection mentally of the embers slowly burning out and the stars slowly becoming less numerous. And it was like more realistic and meaningful than any other CGI representation I've seen on a fucking educational program or a documentary or a movie. It was the closest I've come to looking at space in a way that a human being can't in my entire life. I felt like I had a bird's eye view on the heat death of the universe, and I transfixed on it. And to be honest, there was this sense of awe at first, but as I settled into the trip and I sat there for an hour or more, it became anger at the unfairness of it. I watched everything wink out, and I was just like, that's all there is? That's it? That's what all this suffering and fucking bullshit and exploitation and misery and death and murder and rape and pillage. This is how it ends. Fuck you. And I would spit into the fire, and I started knocking out galaxies with my spit. Work up a big mouthful of spit, and I'd hawk a loogie into that fire and just hear it sizzle out. It's like I said, I can summon up that fucking, it was crazy. That type of experience, it can't help but change you. It can't help but redefine the borders of what you consider to be normal reality. It can't help but show you a little part of yourself that exists, but for some reason isn't tapped into.
You spoiling them tonight. Giving
What?
them story time and giving them drugs.
Whatever. I mean, the conversation went there. There's the well-remembered trip I had over at TJ's house in Ohio. I had a couple of trips over there, actually, that were varying levels of scary. The first trip I had was the infamous, I went to go take a dump at the acid shits, which is a common thing that happens. And TJ had this odd bathroom where you're sitting on the toilet, you were basically staring into your own eyes at this mirror right across from the toilet. And so I did, and that's, staring in the mirror when you're on acid is always kind of a trip, but it was so clear I can still see it. I withered before my own eyes into this dour old man with liver spots all over his nose and his face, and these giant ears, and this scraggly, sparse beard, these wispy remnants of hair on his head, and just all around sour yellow look in his eyes. And I morphed into that, and it just moved me with such passion that I couldn't look away. And as I looked, he changed back into me, and then he changed into something else, another face I'll never forget, but find it hard to describe. A wizened old man for certain, but one that had joy and mirth in his eyes, one that understood himself, one that could smile genuinely, that looked good and happy at the end of his life. And oh my God, man, the connection was fucking immediate. And I really felt like at that point, now you can ascribe whatever meaning you want to that. It really is just a chemical reaction happening in my brain. But for me, philosophically, spiritually, some people might say, it meant you're at a crossroads. You're at a place where you could go further with what you're doing, or you could take another path. And if you choose not wisely, here's your future. And man, how can you not help but think about that every fucking day? Because it was that stark in my brain. It was that fucking real. I was like, whoa. Oh. And I've never really stopped saying whoa at that, because I really do feel like that way, better than any kind of fucking makeup job could ever do. It was me, but just two different versions of me. One of them without a sparkle in his eye and without a fucking person to fucking love in the world, and just bitter and angry and fucking hateful at everybody, and one that was happy at the end of his life. Holy fuck. And then the second time I tripped at TJ's, I had the infamous Lollipop Guild connection, where we were playing Dark Side of the Rainbow, which is when you start playing Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd. During the MGM logo, you mute Wizard of Oz, and you watch Wizard of Oz while you listen to the uninterrupted Dark Side of the Moon. And it immediately synced up for me. I was immediately blown away by the obvious connection between these two pieces of art that were separated by 50 years, 40 years. And then the Munchkin shit happened. And it's during I can't even remember what song it is. It's when they're singing, see you on the dark side of the moon. I don't even remember what song. I'm not a big fan of that album, really. But the little Munchkins were dancing, and for some reason I experienced ego death at that moment. and I just ceased to exist, and all of a sudden I was there with them, just as real as could be. Not with them, but I could sense all of them, like I was all of them, is a better way to say it. I wasn't a little munchkin standing next to all the munchkins and participating. I had an overview of all of them, and I could feel this great swelling sense of pride coming out of them. This whole narrative built in my head about how little people are mistreated, you know, and how little people are exploited. But here's this movie that stands as one of the classics, and they can all puff their chests out and say, hey, I was a fucking integral part of that. I could feel that shining out of their performance, and I could feel it in myself. And it was just, I was bowled over. I was literally like moved to tears over the Munchkins. Just looking at it from that perspective, you know what I mean? Unimpeachable. No matter how grimy their little asses were, you know what I mean? Drunks and pinching Judy Garland's ass. I don't sanction any of that, but I'm telling you, in that performance, in that moment, it shone out at every last one of them in a way that I've never noticed and haven't been able to. I honestly haven't even watched it again since. I don't even know if I could watch that movie again. It wouldn't be the same. Like that was the only way to watch it for me. It'd be weird to try and watch that movie now. Just like it's unfortunately kind of weird for me to talk about Go Flex, because I can't really listen to it. It revealed a fun part of something for my mind to fixate on, but it also made it to where I just don't ever want to. I want to hear it, but I don't want to hear it. You know what I mean? Rewatch Magnolia. I don't really want to, man. That movie broke me. That movie was just fucking sad, piled on depressing, piled on sad, man. Just hopeless. And it's a beautifully conceived of and beautifully shot movie. But and beautifully cast and acted and the whole night. But I just don't ever want to see it again. It's just enough. It's like that documentary Dear Zachary. I'll put people onto that one, but I'm not watching it. It's too sad for me, dude. I bawled for like an hour straight after that ended. Like I literally just laid face down on my couch and I sobbed into a pillow for an hour after I watched that fucking documentary. No, thank you, boss. It was great. People should watch it, but not for me, man. Not my cup of tea, man. Paul, I'm glad you lived through your toils. Yeah, me too, dude. I'm still kicking.
Dude, I fucking bawl that much at fucking It's a Wonderful Life normally. I can't even imagine trying to watch that while high.
Oh god, yeah, dude. Yeah, dude. It's a Wonderful Life will get me too. It'll get me like misty. Maybe I'll squirt a tear or two, but it got you all the way. That's why you need to give your kids swimming lessons, huh? What are you even talking about, dog? What you even talking about, essay? I'm out of here. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.